So this is more of a video for me than anyone else. If you enjoy it, great. I have embarked on a project that is probably a little bit mad, and who knows, might be late to the party, might find out that there are already solutions for this. But this is a server, nothing particularly new. It's an X3650 Model 3. And my plan is to turn this into a home computer. Now, not necessarily gaming, maybe a little bit of video editing, probably some gaming if I'm honest, but there are already problems that I've identified. I'm sure there are solutions to some of those problems, but I hadn't really thought too much about it. I know I've been around computers for a while. I haven't really been around servers. So the first problem, which is fairly obvious straight away, is that there is no real graphics card. I mean, obviously there is a graphics card, but it's a VGA, because obviously it's only really for dealing with the management of the server more than anything else. I think there's a repeat one on the back. I suspect that one is actually the repeat one. Serial, yeah. So there's one on the back. So that's the first problem, graphics card. Now, I suspect that that can be solved because there are these things called risers. And even though that looks like a 16X PCIe, I am fairly certain it isn't. The power end, I think that's the power end, yeah, is a little bit thicker, and the data end runs just a little bit longer. And so my initial thought when I bid on this was that maybe I just stick an extension card that you can have. You can get the extension cables and just bang it in. But the more I sit and look at this, the more I realize that these riser cards have got logic in them. So they probably talk back to the server to tell the server that they're connected. So it makes me think that maybe there is a 16X version of this card, or maybe, and again, don't know, I can combine two 8X's into one 16X. Then I'd have to mount it over here on in this panel and take the other. So there's a few interesting engineering challenges. I know you can get cables that adjust, and I know I can adjust cables and cut cables down. I don't really want to damage the server if I can help it. I want to try and keep it as stock as possible. And I don't really want to damage the graphics cards. I want them to be usable in other machines. The next issue that there is that if you're going to put a nice graphics card in here, is space, but we'll worry about that as we get there. I noticed that there is a power connector for graphics cards. And again, that's a limiting factor because that will limit the type of graphics card that can go in, because, you know, unless you're making custom cables. Of course, there is the crazy thought that I go to underneath the RAID card here and I solder in some connectors straight off of the power supplies that I can then wire into the graphics card. But I think the first issue is to try and make the graphics card fit in at least one of these riser bays, so that the other riser bay can be kept for hopefully a sound card, and maybe USB 3. So you've got a nice USB 3 out the back for connectivity. If I want to utilize this riser, I have a feeling, and it's in the back of my spine, a feeling that I would have to put a CPU into this second CPU slot, which is CPU 2, because CPU 1 is populated. There's nothing super mega in here. It should be an X3650 6-core, so it should be 253 megahertz or something like that. I think we'll be able to get to that. And the RAM for it is populated. Now that looks quite impressive when you first look at it. You go, whoa, look at all that RAM. But the problem is each one of those sticks is probably only 2 gig. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, because it's only got 16 gigs of RAM, but that's fine. Quite happy with that. And obviously, if I acquire some 4s, I can mix and match between the RAM for this processor, processor 1, and then I will get another Xenon 59, 49, 5649. If I get another one of them for there, means I need to get a heatsink as well. I'm just building my parts list. And then a few sticks of RAM, you know, maybe 4 sticks of, I get 4 sticks of 4 gigs of RAM, and then balance the RAM across the 2 so that it's equally, so two sticks of 4 here, 2 sticks of 4 here, and then take half of this bank out and put it here so it's all balanced. That probably makes sense. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. And then we'll see if we can make it run as a home computer. But before I do anything like that, I'm going to have to learn how it works. So before I do any kind of modification to it, I'm going to have to, and I'm a little bit irritated that this is an empty gap, because in the listing I'm pretty sure there were spacers in here. Now I know they're only cheap and nasty spacers, but that is something that irritated me a little bit. But the hope is that I can get it to work, learn how it works. This will serve two things going forward. One, it will teach me a little bit more about servers, a lot more about servers, I would think. If I can't get this to then work as my daily driver, as a daily computer, because I fear it's going to be too loud, or I have no idea where to put it. You know, they're big. It's bigger than I thought. That's the first thing. Maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I brought the wrong one. But I was bidding on them for a while, and this one just happened to be the one that I got lucky with. But I think plan 1 is to stick some drives in it. Probably learn a little bit about the RAID controller. Set up some RAID management to get some hard drives that I can then install an operating system on and see what I've got. But the plan is to stick at least one good or reasonably good graphics card in here, get a sound card in here, add some USB to it, and make it a computer that can edit video and possibly do some gaming. That is the plan. Luckily, these things come with all of the instructions, including parts lists, which is nice. So I know what parts I need to order, and I think the first thing I'm going to do is get a second one of these so I can basically accidentally break one. A processor, a heatsink, and some RAM is on the parts list.